Greetings, War Thunderers. This is Longshot with you again, and this video reviews the Tier 1 Gloucester Gladiator, continues my series on neglected or underrated arcade fighter planes. Now, the Gladiator has a low battle rating of 1.3, which implies that most pilots are not flying it to its potential, and this one is deadly when flown effectively. It's armed with 4 .303 caliber machine guns, which are effective up to 400 meters range. As 2 are mounted on the wings, I've set my convergence to 300 meters. So let's look quickly at how it performs. Firstly, the roll rate, which is average for a biplane. Chaika, for instance, rolls much faster. Now max rudder and elevator at the same time to test its ability to suddenly brake and change direction, which is very good. Let's see how well it turns. That's actually a very tight turning circle. And it's even better if you use WEP and keep the speed high. I can't imagine many biplanes being able to turn inside you. As this plane relies heavily on sharp maneuverability, it's essential if you're flying with mouse aim that you have all of the control surfaces mapped to your keyboard, because then you can quickly and easily perform aerobatics like this, which would be very difficult using the mouse alone. I use these keys as follows. Choose whatever layout's comfortable for you. For me, these keys are naturally accessible with my left hand without having to look at the keyboard. So without further ado, here's my very first mission in a Gladiator after accepting the challenge to make this tutorial. Yes, I'm diving, which means I'd previously climbed. So why did I climb in a biplane? Because I'm used to flying energy fighters, and in my experience it never hurts to gain altitude. You can see it gets up to a decent speed in a dive, but this is arcade, of course. Its elevator response at speed is good, but all the energy has bled away in that one moment. I should make it clear that I always try to imagine myself as being strapped in the cockpit with my life on the line when I play, as for me that vastly improves the sense of immersion in the game. So you won't see me throwing the plane away carelessly by wading into furballs and trying to kill as much as possible before I die. Indeed, I'm a lousy furball dogfighter, so if you want to learn how to get 10 plane kill streaks within 2 minutes, this isn't the video for you. I can, however, show how even a limited pilot like me can be effective in this plane. Here I'm flying it like a BF-109, which is obviously not working, it's just too slow. So eventually I find myself in a ground level furball with 2 enemies and 2 friendlies, the very environment I've tried to avoid for over a year now. And I've chosen a plane, I've latched onto its tail, and I've given myself instant tunnel vision. I've lost my awareness of other planes, and as I follow that fury, my fixation on killing it grows and grows. And these traceable, it's a lousy by the way. That was my common experience flying biplanes when I first started playing the game. I'd fly into a furball, get attached to a target, maybe take him down or maybe not, and then die soon enough when someone blindsided me. So I wanted to keep climbing because I still feel that's a great way of getting an overview of the battle before committing to combat. But I've got to improve on what I do when I'm in combat with this plane. Okay, I can't extend away like I could in an energy fighter when I'm in trouble. So I need to pick the better situation to get involved in the first place, one where I know where all the planes are, or are likely to be. For instance here, there's only 2 enemy planes coming in, no friendlies have picked them up. I've made sure that I'm attacking from behind them both, so I'm likely to see them both in front of me, as I did there when I attacked. But here I'm still flying like I'm flying a 109, I'm trying to extend away after that first run, and that great dogfighting plane, the Hurricane, is right beside me, and I get a bit of a rude shock when I turn around to see him there. If he wasn't so fixated on harvesting tanks with his exceptional dogfighter plane there, he could have blown me out of the sky. So I'm still keeping track of those planes over the hill there to my left now, including the Gladiator in case they came over and joined me there. And having dealt with the Hurricane, I'm climbing back up to reset. So now I want to do the same thing again. Pick out a plane or 2 planes at the most, which are isolated and which I can take on without fear of being dragged into a larger furball that's beyond my control. And this Fury is a really good candidate. He seems to be alone up there, so I want to see if I can get a deflection shot on him, making sure no one else is coming to join the attack. But even so, I don't notice coming in low an I-16 at the bottom of the screen there. And while I'm shooting away at this Fury, the I-16 loops onto my tail and starts hitting me with stealth bullets, so I simply don't notice him. And I'm not taking much notice of the mini-map, which would have told me he was there. So I've still got a bit to learn. Nevertheless, I've walked into this situation where I think there's just two planes, and suddenly I do realise that someone's shooting at me, and that hard turn gets the eyeshock off my tail. It can't follow. So I know where the P-26 is. He's there. The eyeshock switched onto someone else, so I'm just sending a few bullets at him. I can get back onto the P-shooter. Now I'm watching the red dot of the eyeshack on the minimap, and he's going further away. So I should be okay just to concentrate on this guy. P-shooters are tough little bastards. It'd be pretty hard to bring down. Finally. And here also I take my eye off him. I assume he's just going to go pop like the Fury did, but he isn't. He's still alive. In fact, he's diving down on me and still shooting. Got to be careful. Anyway, so I'm still making mistakes, but I think I've survived because I was careful about how I committed to combat in the first place. I didn't just dive straight down into a furball like I did in my first match. Okay, here looks like there's a lot of friendlies arriving who are lower and faster than me, and certainly more trigger happy. And so the odds are in my side's favour, very much so now. There's only one red plane left, so there's no point in me going down there. I'll keep my height. I'll wait and see if that F2A gets past them and what they do, if so. And that F2A is being rather bold, going headlong at two red planes for him. And he pays the price. That's a great example of what not to do with a plane. Just watching those reds to see what happens. And they don't seem to have noticed that lag. My friends seem to have gotten fixated on killing tanks, which is fine, needs to be done. So I can swoop down from my perch and loop onto the tail of this lag. Because we're nice and close, you can see the damage these bullets do. That's pretty nice. So I can just climb back up and reset. So I've resumed my patrol area, but now there's multiple bogies inbound. So things are about to get hairy. It's just a matter of determining now which target I dive on. And I'm going in for the first one. But that first CR-42 turns back towards the incoming enemy, so I'm going to switch on to the second, who's also attacking a friendly. See if I can line up a deflection shot. So it's suddenly busy here, and I need to help quickly kill the enemies and then climb back and reset, after first making sure that I haven't picked up someone on my 6. Doesn't look like anyone's on me. Might kill a tank on the way. Except I let myself get sucked into blowing up those armoured cars, which means I'm now low and slow when the next wave of enemies arrive, and the battle is on me whether I like it or not. And I have no idea now where the enemies are, or how many of them there are, and I've given myself instant tunnel vision. All I can do is keep turning and hope the storm goes away. Note how hard it is to escape from being in a low and slow position, hence how important it is to keep your speed high and fight for that altitude advantage. you can see what I mean about P-26s being tough little bastards. They're not easy to kill. It's only a matter of time before someone blindsides me. And here we go. So I was doing well until I made myself vulnerable. I should either have ignored the ground targets and climbed, or gone all out to kill the cars and ignored the dogfighting. So altitude's definitely important if you want your plane to survive, that much is clear. You also get people climbing up and making themselves an easy kill. You also attract faster monoplanes who think that you're also an easy kill. Like that buffalo. He's already nearly as high as me, so I can't climb and stall him out, but I can fake a head on, and then using the keyboard pull a snap roll, which makes you extremely difficult to hit. Then turn as quickly as I can once he's past me, hoping that he'll stop and dogfight me. Because I'm at 2,000 meters, it's highly unlikely that any other enemies will interrupt us. So I can afford to focus on him. And that F2A has no hope of turn fighting me, and it's taking him a little while to realise it. In fact, I don't think there is a monoplane in this game that can turn fight a Gladiator. Which means you have no reason ever to be afraid of monoplanes in this game, flying this plane. I should really take more care to keep my wing angle the same as the other planes. If I had, I could possibly have brought him down at this point. But as it is, I'm struggling to keep guns on target. Now I'm happy to follow him down, as I can turn it into a high speed attack on whatever targets I then meet at low altitude and then reset back up high. Except I get distracted by that and lose a bit of speed. Nevertheless, there's another climbing F2A, and I should have enough speed left to climb after him. One thing you can be sure of in these low-tier biplane games that are so crowded, you follow a target long enough and you'll certainly come under attack. You need to develop an instinct that screams at you to wave off if a target's taking too long to die, like I'm doing there. Right on cue, there's the F2A I fought earlier, right on my tail. So using the keyboard I can quickly loop over and onto his tail. But here I pushed my luck. I haven't the speed to chase him, and he could easily have pulled off a hammerhead and killed me as I hung in the air. At least I checked my tail to make sure that no one else was following. But fortunately, he's unaware of the rope-a-dope tactic, and I survive. Even more fortunately, I seem to have winged him enough to finally kill him. If I was flying an F2A, that's exactly how I lure biplanes to their deaths. So I got away with that. But another battle, this time on Stalingrad Ground Strike. I've climbed and I'm making sure there's no enemies surviving up here before I consider lower targets. That Heinkel looked promising, but he dived away following the Blenheim. So I don't want to just hang around up here while the battle rages below. It's too passive and too defensive for my liking, and it's not using the plane to its potential. There's an isolated Junkers 87, and what's more, he's picking on a friendly. So it's time to get involved, but first I'm triple checking to make sure the coast is clear. And my aim is to kill him as quickly as I can and then fly back out to my side of the lines and climb back to altitude. So I have my entry and exit strategy planned before I enter the battle. Let's see if I can stick to it. he's turning back towards his own lines. Nothing wrong with following him briefly, but I follow him a bit too long, just trying to make sure of the kill, and you know what that means. Yep, there's planes on me, and I need to pull an emergency loop. Now it's just a G50, I could certainly dogfight him, but there's someone else attacking me as well. So now I really need to run away. I'm beaten up a bit, but I survived. And if your plane's still alive, you can kill more enemies. So that was a lucky escape. Now I've climbed back to patrol altitude, which means climbing attackers that I can rope-a-dope. So this is the Berlin map, which will have more higher tiered planes, but also be spread out. And higher tiered planes is not a problem for the Gladiator. So having climbed, I'm assessing the movements of friendly and enemy planes below, working out where I should engage. I don't want to take part in the furball on the left, for I want targets that no one else has picked up. That F2A down there looks like the best available choice, so I'm going to dive on him, but I should have used WEP in the dive and tried to lead his dive a bit more. As you'll see in a few minutes, I just haven't the speed to close into effective guns range. And you can see how ineffective they are beyond 400 meters. I just get the occasional hit. I once followed a biplane, emptying 3 magazines into him or something like that, and only got hits, and he was sitting at around 500 meters distance. So it looks like he's turning. Just see if I can get a nice deflection shot on the turn. It's better, get the wings in line. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes, I've been focused on this target for too long, and I decide to wave off before I get myself killed. That guy goes and rams his plane into the ground trying to shoot ground targets, which gives me with a kill anyway. People can be so awesome. So back in my patrol area looking for the next target. That Heinkel and Gladiator on the right looked very tempting. But I must first ensure no other red planes are heading that way. You should see what I mean though about climbing. The Heinkel hadn't climbed, so when he wanted to climb and get into combat, he just put himself at a disadvantage. Because I had climbed earlier on, I had all of the advantages on my side. Turn and get straight onto him before he recovers enough speed to fly away. Right, now for the Gladiator. And this guy's very considerate, and he flies in a straight line under my guns with his engine and cockpit exposed. If you're being attacked from above, or from anywhere really, never fly in a straight line. So on this higher ranked map, which is more spread out than the biplane furball maps, the strategy of climbing and picking out isolated targets seems to work extremely well. And as this battle's drawing to a conclusion, I decide to become more aggressive and I dive at this bunch of reds down here. Now I don't immediately turn around and furball, but I assess the situation and convert my speed back into a bit of altitude before attacking again. A few basic energy fighting principles never hurt, even though this is a biplane. It's capable of a lot more than just turning sideways. So, can this turn inside a Heinkel 51? No problem at all. Now I wiggle up and down as I approach the choker, just in case an unseen enemy was trying to line me up as I hung on the Heinkel's tail. And again, getting a bit of a sixth sense about when I'm likely to come under attack. And this plane just seems to be able to outturn anything. That Blenheim was a bit cheeky. Now, that's a plane you never want to tangle with. It or Beaufort's or any of the float plane bombers. They're just way too tough. You don't have the speed to evade their gunners, or the weapons to bring them down quickly. Leave them for someone else. Our job is shooting down biplanes. Just making sure the altitude is clear before considering any lower targets. Okay, now it's time to choose someone to dive on. Looks like that Fury that just dived has no one on him, so he's the best choice. I'm not flying down into that bunch of reds, not when at least one of them is sure to climb up to me. Another F2A wanting to take me on. climb and separate him from the others. Go into the fake head-on with the snap roll. Yes, not today, peasant. And thank you, F2A pilot, for staying to dogfight instead of running away. So I'm following him down because the battle's nearing the end, and I need to join the attack a bit more aggressively. See that P-26 above? Don't want to risk him getting on my tail while I attack the F2A. Not when I can do that and then just switch straight back. So when I started the Gladiator challenge, I had the unimpressive stats from a year ago of 27 flyouts, 23 kills and 22 deaths. After another 10 missions, I'd snared another 33 kills and 13 ground targets at the cost of 4 deaths, and 8 of the missions were victories. So if an old bloke with slow reflexes who sucks at furball dogfighting and who's played on a 280 plus ping can improve using the tactics demonstrated in this video, anyone else can do it as well. So let me summarise. The Gladiator is just a biplane. It's awesome fun to fly, and here are its main characteristics. And here's the tactics you should practice to become an effective Gladiator pilot. In this last video I'd been too passive early on, and the battle was going against us, so I decided to take the attack to the enemy and push both my plane and my developing furball skills to the limit. Surviving a furball is not about how quickly you can turn a plane or knowledge of all the different keyboard tricks you can do, although they all help. It's everything to do with your knowledge of where the enemy planes are and making sure you never get stuck on a single target. Don't get stubborn, be willing to change your mind constantly and never ever fly in a straight line. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Oh, and please visit the forum to vote for the plane that you would most like me to cover next.